Formaji YouTube video k lia oper jo tum ny story lik kdhs k oper tai men strong hook lik k do. Hook jandar. Suspenseful our curiosity si barpor hona chaye k mary vauer engage ho jn our video ko ntk deck and the boy made of chalk. The classroom smelled of dust and old rain. White light fell through cracked windows and rested on the floor. I heard the sound of chalk before I saw anything. A slow scrape. Soft. Careful. The blackboard was empty, yet the sound continued. My fingers tingled as if the air itself was dry. I stepped forward and felt powder under my shoes. Footprints appeared behind me. They were not mine. The temperature dropped near the board. A shape began to form against the wall. Not drawn. Standing. A boy made of chalk looked at me with hollow eyes. His face cracked when he moved. Fine white dust fell like snow. I tried to speak, but my mouth tasted dry and bitter. The boy raised his hand. The sound of chalk grew louder. My skin burned as if erased slowly. The room felt smaller with every breath. The boy leaned closer. I could hear my own heartbeat scratching inside my ears. His fingers reached for my arm. Where he touched, my skin turned pale. The floor trembled slightly beneath us. The chalk smell filled my lungs. The lights flickered once. The boy smiled, and his teeth broke into powder. The powder from his smile drifted into the air and settled on my eyelashes. My vision blurred as white grains clung to my sight. I wiped my eyes, and my fingers came away pale. The chalk boy stepped back, and the wall behind him cracked softly. Lines spread across the surface like broken veins. Each line pulsed with a faint sound of scraping. The classroom walls felt closer than before. Desks seemed to lean inward. Their legs screeched softly against the floor without moving. I felt pressure in my chest as if the room pressed inward. The chalk boy tilted his head. A thin line split his neck and released more dust. He pointed toward the blackboard. Words appeared without being written. White letters crawled across the dark surface. They spelled my name slowly. Each letter formed with a painful screech. My ears rang with the sound. I stepped backward and hit a desk. The desk felt brittle under my hands. My fingers left marks as if the wood was soft stone. I pulled away and saw chalk stains on the desk. The boy took one step forward. The floor beneath his feet cracked into fine powder. Every step erased part of the room. The air grew thicker. Breathing felt like pulling dust into my lungs. My throat burned. The chalk boy opened his mouth wider than before. Inside, there was only darkness and scratching noise. The sound echoed inside my head. The blackboard began to shake. Chunks fell to the floor and shattered silently. The lights dimmed and brightened again. Shadows stretched in unnatural angles. I felt a sharp sting on my arm. White lines spread from the spot where he touched earlier. My skin hardened slowly. Movement became difficult. The chalk boy watched closely. His eyes reflected the flickering lights. They looked empty and full at the same time. I tried to run, but my legs felt heavy. Each step left white footprints behind me. The door stood across the room. It looked farther away than before. The chalk boy raised both hands. The sound of scraping grew louder. The walls began to write on themselves. Symbols covered every surface. They shifted and changed constantly. None of them stayed still. The desks dissolved into piles of powder. The ceiling cracked and released a slow fall of dust. I covered my mouth. The taste was bitter and dry. My heartbeat slowed. Each beat echoed like chalk tapping stone. The chalk boy moved closer again. His body crumbled slightly with every motion. Yet he kept his shape. His smile returned, wider and sharper. I felt cold spread through my arms. White lines reached my shoulders. My fingers stiffened. The chalk boy whispered something without sound. The air vibrated with meaning. I felt my name pressed into my thoughts. The blackboard shattered completely. Behind it was not a wall. There was another classroom. And another. Rows of endless rooms stretched beyond sight. Each one filled with chalk dust. Figures stood inside them. Some were frozen. Some moved slowly. All of them were pale. The chalk boy pointed toward the endless rooms. The scraping sound came from every direction. My feet slid forward without control. The floor pulled me toward him. White cracks spread up my legs. My knees locked in place. The chalk boy placed his hand on my chest. The cold seeped deep inside. My breath escaped in short bursts. The room grew silent for one moment. Then the scraping returned louder than ever. My vision faded around the edges. White filled every corner. The chalk boy leaned close to my face. I could see tiny fractures in his eyes. Dust fell between us like falling snow. My body felt lighter. My thoughts slowed. The classroom dissolved into brightness. Shapes formed and erased repeatedly. The scraping sound never stopped. I felt myself harden further. My skin lost warmth. My voice stayed trapped inside. The chalk boy stepped back and observed. The endless classrooms shifted behind him. More figures turned their heads toward me. Their eyes reflected the same hollow white. The chalk dust rose like a storm. The air vibrated with silent writing. My arm lifted without my command. White powder fell from my fingertips. The chalk boy nodded slowly. The floor beneath us smoothed into a clean surface. The walls waited. Blank. Silent. Ready. The scraping sound softened at last. It faded into a gentle hush. The chalk boy lowered his hands. The dust in the air began to settle. White particles rested on the floor like calm snow. The endless classrooms behind him grew still. The